Hey folks, so before I begin, I just want to let you all know that I have a Discord server now, and the link to it is down below in the description box, so you are welcome to join and hang out. Now let's get into the video. The east side of the island was once a boring, barren, and pretty much underdeveloped area. Resource scarcity was real, and to build a base there was nearly suicidal. But Update 14 and 15 included adding more cannibal camps, paths, bridges, and they even started to spread out animal zones and foraging resources. A place that you'd go to be bored to death has now become a new frontier. Like Lewis and Clark exploring the Americas, I set out to explore the new additions on the east side of the island and recon some spots for a good base location. So come along with me and let's check out the eastern side of the island. I started out on the snowy summit of the mountains. As part of Update 14, a night added more fog details in the mountains, and the feel of it up here is just treacherous. There are paths that lead you onto the slopes of the mountains, and when you get to a certain point, cannibal activity emerges. Their presence provide a slight hint that maybe these slopes will be developed in the near future, maybe with cannibals adapted to the colder climate and winterized cannibal camps. Mutants also spawned in this area, but the spawning was not as common. Combat with the winter elements up in the mountains added a layer of complexity to the fights, but nothing that can't be handled by my bad character. I haven't visited the hot springs in a while, and if you don't know, these are the only lakes that don't freeze. There is one that appears to be a favorite among what I assume were the residents inhabiting the bunkers of Puffcore. It seemed like a party was rudely interrupted, but there is some loot that you find in the area. While there isn't a whole lot up here, I did find a crash site of a small plane. The only thing that identifies the plane is the serial number on the side. I don't think this is an Easter egg from the first game because the cockpit was what was found in the mountains in the forest. But I have a theory about this plane, and I'll get into that when I show you the other item that I found later on. As I made my way down, once again I got attacked by cannibals and mutants alike, but I did make it out alive, eventually. Passing by the cove with sailboats, there are extra details here, like these buoys, but also there are some extra bins which have been added throughout the map. I made my way to the helipads where I noticed some carts and dead people, and I swear to God, every time I say dead people, my mind immediately goes to I don't know why I felt like sharing that. Anyway, papers were strewn about, and it was here that I found an article about the wives of missing construction workers, and they want answers. So while it is totally speculation and doesn't really have any basis, I think the plane up on the mountain could be a search and rescue plane that was sent out to search for the missing construction workers. Or maybe there will be an explanation about the plane in another pickup item later on, or I just haven't discovered it yet. As we move away from the helipads, we start to see more props that are associated with the fishermen that once inhabited the island. They aren't far from the helipads, and they are sort of close to the golden armor cave, but it's these locations that have some good loot. And by good loot, I mean some ropes, which endlessly are needed in the game, cat food cans, car batteries, cloth, and even rifle ammo. And it was in this area, close by the fisherman huts, I noticed there weren't really any cannibal camps, but there was cannibal activity. Will this surge of cannibal activity subside, or is it always like this? I'm not sure, but I propped up my tarp as a marker for a potential base location. I like this spot because the area is a nice and flat area. The steep river banks and the eroded hillside make this location inaccessible to cannibals. leaving only a small area vulnerable for attacks. The rivers will not freeze, so I'd have access to water year-round, and just as I was leaving, not far away from my tarp, I was able to find a hotspot for aloe. So this is another element that makes a base location a good one, at least in my book. In fact, there were foraging hotspots in several areas near my potential base location. And don't worry, I will be coming out with another foraging video sometime in the near future, so you know where to find them too. As I explored this area more, I started to see more dead construction workers. Some of them can be seen in unnerving locations, but if you investigate their remains, you usually can find some good loot close to them. Dead comrades are also scattered about, and I started to see a trend. The trend was that they typically had some form of ammo on them, and then I started to notice these cairn-like structures, similar to the ones the cannibals place around the map, but you can tell your fellow comrades constructed them because they are made of decaying and desecrated creepies. So while I noticed these ammo caches all over the east side of the map, I'm sure similar structures can be seen on the western side of the map as well if I explored that area. In fact, if you have noticed these on the western side of the map, leave a comment about it down below. I'd also like to say that if you liked the video thus far, please give it a like as it helps people find me, and subscribe if you want to hear more from me. And if you really like me, please join my Discord. The link is in the description box below. Okay, let's get back to it. It was at this upper lake I decided to place down a tarp to mark another possible base location. The steep river bank means it would be easy to drown the enemies, and across the way is one of those ammo caches that can replenish my ammo supplies whenever I need to. However, just below this lake is a little cluster of cannibal camps. They aren't close enough to cause concern about the base location itself, but it's an area that will be avoided if I don't want to start anything with the natives. One of the cannibal camps here is quite unique, as the cannibals built some stone structures around their camp. This was the only camp I found with stone structures, but there may be more on the island. More exploration is needed. One thing I noticed at the cannibal camps is there are now more wooden boxes, skin pouches, and food cans than I remember before the recent updates. There is a greater incentive now to check out the camps for supplies, because in the past the camps used to be a place to get a little bit of rope, maybe a little bit of cloth. So yeah, they seem to have a lot more supplies now. With respect to supplies, the cannibal camps near the beaches offer a unique opportunity to loot for turtle shells. As of right now, this is beneficial because I waited around on the shores in a couple of locations to see if there are good turtle spawning spots. However, as of right now, I do not think the eastern side of the beach has good locations to get meat from turtles, and then obviously their eggs. When you get to the island that is south of the estuary, there are many more cannibal camps out there. There are so many that I don't really think the area is a good spot to build a base, but it is an area to explore and fight if you're up for that. Again, that's just me. I wouldn't build there. I stumbled upon another cannibal camp that had a unique feature. This camp utilized a shabby fisherman hut, and I did not come across another camp like this. In this area, there were several of those ammo caches I mentioned before, and also a dead deer where you can pick up some meat. This is all near the Golden Armor Cave, and it is here you will discover that the large lake by the cave entrance has an island on it. I went there and there is nothing worth noting, but perhaps something will be added there in the future. While there were multiple foraging locations, most of those spots contain devil's club, fly amanita, and chicory. These are plants I don't commonly use except the fly amanita. It wasn't until I circled back to the helipad area that I found patches of fireweed, a key ingredient for Health Mix Plus, and a plant I like to stock up on because I think it's super hard to find. Close by the fireweed was a place where a tributary pours off a cliff and turns into a waterfall. It has a deep pool bank filled with fish, and this location appealed to me the most because of all my travels. This is the only place where I found fireweed. There is hardly any cannibal activity and no camps around, so this is my winning spot to build a base. Now, do I think the eastern side is finished and looks looks amazing and no more updates are needed? No. The area is so large that it still felt empty. We probably need more ice caves to explore and cannibal camps up in the mountains. I think we need more caves and bunkers with story details within, and I'd like to see more foraging hotspots. In particular fireweed, because man, there was just nothing out there, especially over by the islands. I don't know, what do you think, subscribers? What needs to be added to the game, whether it's on the east side or just in general? Tell us about it in the comments down below. I think that's going to do it for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to hear more from me. Other than that, my name is Heather, and thanks for letting me put my game out for you. We'll see you in the next one. Bye!